What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show, Be the Trader. I want to review my week. I want to talk about some highlights that have happened this month and how the trading in terms of the market itself has been changing. And I also want to talk about an upcoming interview that's going to be uploaded in January 1st at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. Stay tuned for that because it's going to be a great episode. That being said, let's start off with how the week has been. The week has been really well, actually. It's the Christmas week. It's a unique week because Monday or the Christmas Eve is like a half day, and then Monday is unique too. And the holiday trading, there seems to be a lot more volatility. And I've experienced holiday trading several times, I think 3, 4, maybe 4 years now, where it's a trend where you start to see trends. And what I've noticed is it's very good to be long bias. And if you're a short seller like myself, it's very good to know this and then basically adapt and make sure you wait for that clear signal. And that's what my plan was this week, especially on Monday and Tuesday. And Monday and Tuesday, I believe, were red days. I haven't uploaded anything. I don't look at P&L, but I do know that they were not great days, but they were also not bad. And what I mean by that is because I really managed my risk. I think I took like a half hour on Christmas Eve and then maybe a half hour or less on the day before Christmas Eve. And I noticed on Twitter there was a lot of people trading and they were taking some big hits. And no shame to them. It happens, but a lot of them were short sellers. And because what I've noticed is short selling is very difficult when everyone is at their computers. And what I mean by everyone, I mean everyone's off. It's the holidays. No one's at work. They have time. We have more new people in the market for a short period of time. And this is just my thesis, okay? It's just my opinion. But because of that, most people only know about buying, which means there's going to be a lot more long bias traders. And because of that, there's a lot more volatility to the upside. And that's what happened this week. This entire week, if you look at the week of the 24th of December, if you go back, you'll see tons of runners. We have tons of runners this week, tons of squeezers. And when I mean by runners, we do have some multi-day runners, but we also have stocks that come out of nowhere, spike 100%, and then fail. So you have a whole batch of different kind of moves. You have moves that are just spiking and failing. You have moves that are spiking, holding for multiple days. Then you have the multi-day runners that are failing finally, or they look like they're failing, and then recover and break to new highs. So the market's very wild. And because of that, you got to be careful. And I'm so happy that I've been very careful. Because I remember the past Christmas or weeks of the last week of December that it gets really wild, and I'm a short seller. So these weeks would usually be very difficult for me. And I'm not saying it's easy, but I am saying I'm aware of it. And because of that, I've been trading very carefully. So much so that I'm only waiting for like a signal to slap me in the face. I posted on Twitter today because there was tons of movers today. Today's Friday, the 27th of December, 2019. There were tons of movers, tons of plays. And I saw so many people typing like, there's so much to play. I'm going to be looking at everything. But I always have the perspective of I need to only look at the best of the best because there's tons of mediocre out there. There's tons of mirages. I like to call them mirages. That's stocks that you might be able to make money on, and you might have an opportunity there, but they're going to make you miss the best opportunity. They're not really an A, but they make you feel like it is because there's so many of them. So, what happens is when there's so many, you start to lose credit for what an A looks like or start to judge them differently. It's so weird, but where there's not a lot of plays, it's very easy to say, oh, that's an A setup. But when there's tons of plays, you got to be a lot more picky. And today I was picky. I actually took a loss the first trade of the day right out the gate. I shorted the stock, wasn't right, broke to new highs. And it's one of my prime setups, something I win 70% of the time on. But the market is changing, and I know that. So I just took the loss, took it off. And I did jump back in for like a quick 4-cent loss, which was like quarter, maybe even less. It doesn't even matter. It was so small. But I immediately recognized, okay, I'm ignoring this ticker because it started to rotate its float. And a stock that rotates float, especially on days like today where things are going wild, I'm just going to avoid it. I don't want anything to do with it, and I'm just done. And then I didn't place a trade till maybe another hour goes by, and I saw another stock that set up perfectly, and I traded it, and I sat and held it all day. And it finally broke down at the end of the day, and I was super stoked about it. But I only did that because before that trade and after the one I took a loss on, I did place a trade that worked out perfectly, but I wasn't part of it. And it was a good lesson for me. It was a good reminder because, Monday, Tuesday of this week, today's Friday, I didn't have successful trades. And what I mean by that is just profitable. But today, the first one wasn't right and the second one was right, but I only basically made up for the first loss. And that was frustrating because I didn't stick to my plan for the profits because I thought it wasn't breaking down as I like it to break down. I was shorting, of course. It wasn't breaking down, and because of that, I don't want to say I got nervous, but I definitely thought to myself that this stock may squeeze because everything's squeezing. We had tons of squeezers. And so I just took it off, and I shouldn't have done that. I should have just held it like I usually do until the profit target is hit or until the risk is hit. And because I didn't do that, of course, it went all the way down to my profit target shortly after I cut it. And then I told myself, you know what? I was pissed for a moment, but then I said, you know what? Forgive yourself. Let's look for another opportunity, which I did. I found it and I held it all the way to my profit target. So I'm super happy about that. That being said, so the week has been really wild. Holiday trading, just to give you a review. If you're a short bias trader, be careful. Wait for a pure signal. Tons of squeezers. Be careful trading pre-market. And until the end of January, until the new year, it's going to be like this. So, got to be careful. One of the exciting things I want to talk about is actually my website. Just the letter B, thestory.net. Finally released my website. Check it out. You'll be able to keep up with all the stuff I'm doing. And I really appreciate the support. If you haven't gave this show a review, please give it a review on iTunes. It helps me a ton, or on any platform that you listen to. And then YouTube, if you're watching it there, hit that like button and subscribe. Thanks again. Now, my new episode is coming out on January 1st. Make sure you stay tuned. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe now. Hit the bell. Make sure if you're on the podcast, you subscribe, because on January 1st, I'm bringing a special guest to the show. He's a long bias trader who trades small caps, who is a phenomenal trader, by the way. And he has a great background story. And his name's Alex, aka Tagger Trades. He's been interviewed before by Chat with Traders on a couple of episodes, and he's only been on that show. And so I was so excited to get him here. He's a great person, and he talks about his mindset, how he takes losses, how he sets goals, what he thinks success is now that he's made it to where he is today, because he didn't start where he is today. He actually brought in, I think he just posted this on Twitter, a little over 600K this year, which is wild, and it's amazing. But he also shares that he took some big swings. He had some big losses. I think he had a loss around a little over the 200. So it shows you that you need to put things in perspective. Don't just look at someone and be like, oh my God, they're making this, I need to make that. Be careful and always look at, if you're making X, they're probably risking Y, and put it in perspective. So take your time. Don't judge yourself by them and say, I should be there, or I'm not good because of that. But look at them as, how do they view, what's their mindset like? How do they view goals? How do they view risk? How do they view profit targets? And how do they view taking losses multiple times? And we talk about that in the show. So definitely stay tuned to that. The other thing, and I wrote this down, is I want to talk about the big cap stocks. It's something I've been really focusing on lately. And I must say I am enjoying it because big cap stocks trend very nicely. So if you haven't looked at them, I would say just take a look and start looking at them slowly. You'll notice they trend nicely, but they move slow. So you got to have a lot of patience. And if you're trading part-time like myself, that's important. So if you can place a trade like I did today, I placed a trade this morning on RAD and I held it all day. It took all day for it to break down, but it did. It trended nicely and I took my profits. So that's a good setup, or I say setup, it's a good way to trade if you're part-time, working full-time like myself. So just something to think about. Big caps are slow movers. You don't have to worry about the stress of a penny stock just squeezing out of nowhere. Now, with that being said, one thing I'm very proud about this week that I like to talk about what I've been improving on, what I'm going to focus on too. But what I've improved on a ton is being able to move forward with a clear head, no matter if I won a trade or lost a trade. That's something that I've improved a lot on, especially the month of December. And I'm proud of that because this month is usually a hard month for me. And because of that, I think it has to do with me not looking at my P&L for the whole month and not even uploading the trade. So I'm not keeping track at all, which is something that you know at the end of the day if you're going to be up or down, but it really, really helps you with your mindset. So if you're struggling with constantly being stressed about the next trade because of your previous trade, try it. Just give it a shot. With that being said, I also wanted to mention my routine because a lot of people, they were asking me like, what do I do in the morning or what's my routine like? Especially since I work now. So what I do is I actually, wake up at like 4:30 in the morning and, have coffee with my wife and talk for a little bit and then go to the gym. And then from there, get back home, make a watch list if I didn't make it the night before. So if I didn't make it the night before, I make it in the morning, then drive to the office when I do work in the office and then put my alerts on my phone. When the alerts go off, I already know my plan. I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to risk. I know what my profit target is. That does not mean that I just place a trade as soon as the alert goes off. No. When the alert goes off, I look at the stock and see how it's acting at that time. And then if I feel good about it, I already know my plan, I execute the plan. Because how a stock gets to your targets, how a stock gets to your alert is important. So if you're trading part-time and you're just setting alerts and entering when your alerts hit, just be aware how it gets there is so important. It's so important. So I watch it, enter the trade, and then set my profit target and my stop loss, and then set alerts for it to alert me when it gets close, and then I take my profits. So it's very simple. When I work from home, which not everyone has the luxury to, granted, I have that luxury right now. On some days when I work from home, I'm able to trade for the first hour and then I just leave it alone and I just work. So to try to figure out what works for you, because for me, if I work the first, if I trade, if I don't see anything in the first hour, then I'm pretty much not going to trade. And so you need to figure out what your strategy is, when does it happen, and what window of time. And I guarantee you, once you figure that out, you'll be surprised. Maybe it's only the first 10 minutes. Maybe it's pre-market. Maybe it's the first hour. Maybe it's the last hour. 90% of my trades are in the first hour of the day, and there's probably 10% or less that happen in the last end of the day, which the only time it really happens that I can count or that I can remember is taking profits. This is what happens at the end of the day. But with all that said, because I'm freaking thirsty for water and losing my breath here, I'm sure you can tell, I'm going to end this episode, but I want you to know, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for watching this, for keeping in contact, messaging me. Be sure to subscribe like I said before, hit the bell if you're watching on YouTube. Give me a rating and review because it helps me a ton on podcasts. And other than that, I hope you're enjoying the show. Give me your feedback because I want to do as best as I can, and I want to provide good content for you guys and help you improve in your own trading journey. And don't forget, January 1st, Alex, aka Tagger Trades, that episode's coming out and it's going to be bomb. So stay tuned.